This is our second Brain Bee. We had our first one last year. And so I don't know how much you guys were able to sort of look up what the Brain Bee was, or if you guys heard about it on a number of interviews that Cliff was able to participate in, along with Dr. Kitty. But the International Brain Bee was founded in 1999, and it started in Baltimore, Maryland. Now there are local chapters in, 30 countries, 150 individual local chapters. And so the format of the Brain Bee is that each local chapter, so we are the local chapter of Las Vegas, holds the Brain Bee. We then will send the winner. So whoever wins today, the first place winner, we are going to send to Baltimore, Maryland. We'll pay for you and probably a parent. I'm assuming it has to be a parent. We'll pay for your flight, your hotel, and you'll participate in a 2-day long national Brain Bee. So it's the U.S. national Brain Bee. And then each country that has local chapters within it holds their own national Brain Bee. And then each of those countries send on the winner to the international Brain Bee. So somebody here today, one of you guys, has the chance to win, go to Baltimore, and then go to Australia, which is really exciting. But you have to come in first in the national, okay? So that's a lot of pressure. But last year, our first place winner actually went on and won 3rd place. So it was our first year, and we were able to actually rank in the national Brain Bee. So that was also very exciting. And one thing that we'll do, and we'll talk about it with the winner at the end, but we don't leave you hanging between now and the National Brain Bee. We will actually work with you, the grad students, in the neuroscience program here at UNLV. We'll meet you in evenings, on the weekends if that works, and we'll go over all of the material that you have to study. Because the booklet, that big PDF that you were supposed to study, that was provided for you guys, that's not the only thing you have to know. There's quite a bit more information. And so it's a pretty intense bee, the national and the international. But we'll help you. We'll help you prepare properly for it. And so the format of today, well actually, let's introduce, if you guys haven't met yet, this is Cliff. He is our Nevada Brain Bee Association, that's sort of our local chapter name. He's our president. We have Elaine, who is treasurer, I believe. And so these two individuals really contacted us about a year ago, really almost 2 years ago, to form the Nevada Brain Bee. And so that's sort of how it started. So my name is Andrew. I am one of the neuroscience graduate students. I'm working on my PhD in neuroscience. This is Dr. Jeff Kinney. He will do an introduction and just a little bit sort of talk about who he is, what neuroscience is. And then everybody has met Monica, and she is another board member, and she is also a PhD grad student in this neuroscience program. So the three of us will be your judges today. There's going to be 2 parts to this, which I think you guys are already aware of. The first part is going to be the written exam, which is sitting right here. We're going to pass it out to you guys when we start. Before we do that, after Dr. Kinney's little speech, Monica is going to go over the rules with you, okay? So there are a couple rules. We are also going to have Elaine and Casey, who's the girl downstairs with the posters. They're going to be monitoring. And so if there are wandering eyes or cheating in any way, you're just removed from the competition. You don't even get a warning. So it would be embarrassing for you to be removed in front of everybody, right? So don't do that. Keep your eyes on your paper. Just be cognizant of where your eyes are, okay? And then after the written part, we're going to take about a 10-minute break so we can grade that. So use that opportunity to go to the bathroom, get something to eat, and then come back in. If you leave, like actually go out the doors because you feel like going outside for some reason, the doors are locked. So you might not be able to get back in. So if you have to leave, you need to let one of us know so that we can let you back in, basically, okay? And then we will do the second portion, which is the oral part of the exam, but we are actually doing a little bit different this year, and we're doing it in a Jeopardy style fashion. And Monica will explain that as well, but because the rules, I don't think it's going to be complicated in any way, but she's going to explain the Jeopardy rules right before we start Jeopardy, okay? So that whatever rules there are fresh in your mind, so you don't have to remember it for the next hour and a half. And then we'll take another 10 minutes break, because we have to tally up your guys' scores, and we will announce the winners. Those are the trophies over there, so we have a first, second, and third. In the event of a tie, then we will have a lightning round for whatever position. So if we have a first place tie, we'll do the lightning round, and if you win the lightning round, you'll get first place, and if you lose the lightning round, you will get second place. And that same thing will be in the case of a second place tie. And so the loser of the lightning round will win third place. Does that make sense? Okay. So, yes.
One interesting point, this young gentleman just handed me his phone because he didn't want to look like there was any compromise there. So that's one thing that you need to make sure. Make sure your phones are away. We're not collecting them.
Yeah,
make sure they're not here, they're not turned on, and that in no time we see your hand go to a phone.
Okay.
And thank you for
Yes, thank you.
volunteering.
I actually forget, this will tell you how long ago we were actually in high school. I forget high school students have cell phones now.
Yes.
So,
that's sad.
just make sure they're off. We're not going to collect them, or just make sure they're silent. You know, they don't actually have to be off. Just make sure they're silent, and they do not need to come out. If you finish your test, then we will. You can, step out and use your phone because you no longer have your test with you. That's totally fine. Okay. Anything else you guys would like to add before Dr. Kinney jumps in? All right, so we're going to turn it over to Dr. Kinney. He's going to talk a little bit about neuroscience, what it is, and your potential future role in it.
That's a daunting task. Okay, so first I'd like to thank you guys for signing up to do this. I think it is a remarkable opportunity to get involved in neuroscience a lot earlier. I know your brains right now are wired to get ready to take a test, so maybe every third word we're talking about is covered, but just a little bit of background. You've studied the material to get ready for this exam. You have a good idea of what the nervous system is, what neuroscience is, but it's changed a lot every couple years. And what it was when I started out as a student, it's a far cry from that now, and it will be the same thing for you guys. So UNLV is actually a pretty good example of this, and just to give you sort of what you will see coming as you move into your collegiate careers. 6-7 years ago, there was no real neuroscience here at UNLV. There are now a few faculty that are doing research. Met a couple of my lab's gang, and we specifically chase some mechanisms associated with Alzheimer's disease, schizophrenia, and spend an awful lot of time trying to understand some really basic mechanisms of how your brain encodes information and learns where you are, where you're going, what your name is, who your neighbor is, right? When I first started doing a lot of this, the techniques were pretty rudimentary. They were very straightforward. You give a drug to an animal model and you look to see what happens. Or you test a person to see what they basically can get, how far they can remember a list of items. In just 15 to 20 years now, the tools that are available, the processes that we use for these same questions have advanced so fast that if anybody can actually tell you what the future of neuroscience is, they're making things up. Because the reality is the field changes so fast every few years. So what you guys have learned up to this point, in this book, what you're going to do in this exam, what you're going to find is it's outdated in 5 years because the research is moving at such a fast clip, the techniques are moving at such a fast pace, that it is really impossible for me or anyone else to tell you what the neuroscience world is going to be like by the time you're finishing your undergraduate, or by the time you're in med school or graduate school, or finished with both of those. So I do think it's phenomenally important to get involved as you guys are right now. I can tell you one of my favorite statistics ever about neuroscience is that since the field really formed as an intact discipline, it has been the fastest growing field in the sciences for 20 years now. There are more PhDs turned out, there are more research labs, more grants funded specifically towards neuroscience than any other field. But this includes everything from how your little finger can move when you want it to what's going on in psychiatric disorders, to friends and colleagues of mine who study individual cells grown in a dish to see how they communicate with one another. Right? Most people find something in neuroscience that resonates with them, and I would encourage you to feed that interest, because no matter what it is you're gonna study, some of you are probably thinking medicine, research, could be anything to do with science as a whole. What you're gonna find is that there is a venue or an arm of neuroscience that feeds into it. So I'm really happy to see so many people really interested in these competitions. What you're gonna find is there is a wealth of information out there, aside from what are at these universities, there are organizations like this one, and I really encourage you to continue to pursue it. Most of the universities you're gonna apply to have either a neuroscience major, so a degree program, or a neuroscience minor, and these are some of the most interesting topics to study. They're some of the most interesting questions to pursue. I can only speak for me and my gang, but we pretty much live and breathe this. We are the ultimate nerds about this sort of material, and it's an absolute blast. Right? So hopefully part of this hooks you as well, and I know you're ready to take an exam, you want to compete. If after the event is over you have questions about neuroscience, regardless of the competition, feel free to contact us. Feel free to reach out and talk to us. We'll be happy to answer this stuff. We live it and breathe it.
Okay, so we're going to start the competition. What I want you guys to do, you already silence your cell phones and put them away. Any notes that you have, please put those away. You can just flip the photo release forms over, but make sure you don't have any notes out. So I'm going to pass out the